Hello, hello, my dear angling friends and subscribers. It's your fishing buddy here, ready to dive deep into what promises to be a truly intriguing week on the waters. Today we're casting our lines into the future, specifically looking at the fishing forecast for our beloved region of the United Kingdom from the 8th to the 14th of September 2025. Now, why intriguing, you ask? Well, we're right at the cusp of meteorological autumn, and this week looks set to be a classic British September. A bit of a mixed bag, with plenty of low-pressure systems bringing rain and blustery conditions. But don't let that deter you because, as we all know, challenging weather often brings fantastic opportunities for those who know where and how to fish. This week, we'll see a real blend of conditions that could lead to some surprising catches for both our freshwater and saltwater pursuits. So, grab a cuppa, settle in, and let's get down to the nitty-gritty of what the fish are up to. Let's kick things off with a thorough analysis of the conditions heading our way. Understanding these elements is half the battle, my friends, and it's what truly makes us expert anglers. First up, the weather. The overall picture for this week is distinctly autumnal, dominated by areas of low pressure across the United Kingdom. We're looking at air temperatures that will be close to the seasonal average, generally ranging from lows of around 7 or 8 degrees Celsius overnight to highs of up to 14 or 15 degrees Celsius during the day, particularly earlier in the week. As the week progresses, we'll see a slight cooling trend, with daytime highs perhaps only reaching 11 or 12 degrees Celsius by the weekend. Atmospheric pressure is going to be a key player. We've got low-pressure systems influencing our weather, which often means unsettled conditions. In fact, a rather deep low-pressure system is expected around Sunday the 7th, which will usher in our forecast week on Monday with continued low pressure. This kind of fluctuating, generally low pressure can make fish a bit finicky. They might feel the changes and become less inclined to feed aggressively, often seeking deeper, more stable waters. Wind is another factor. Expect blustery conditions with some strong gusts, especially along the southern coasts. A brisk wind can make casting a challenge, but it also creates chop on the water, which can break up light and offer a bit of cover for predatory fish. As for rainfall, we're in for a wet week. There will be light rain for much of the period, with a particularly soggy start around Monday and Wednesday, and a strong chance of heavier rain on Saturday. While no one loves fishing in a downpour, the rain will introduce fresh water and oxygen into our rivers and lakes, and wash in some natural food, which can sometimes trigger a feeding response. Now let's talk about water temperature. Even though we're heading into autumn, our waters in the United Kingdom are still retaining some of that summer warmth. The average freshwater temperature for September typically hovers around 17.2 degrees Celsius. Sea temperatures will also be relatively warm, often staying above 15 degrees Celsius, with southern coastal areas possibly seeing up to 18 degrees Celsius. This transitional temperature is crucial. It means many of the summer species are still active, but the cooler nights are starting to signal to fish that winter is coming, prompting them to feed more actively to build up reserves. However, with consistent rainfall and dropping air temperatures, we can expect a gradual cooling trend throughout the week, especially in shallower waters. And what about the moon, our celestial angler's guide? This week starts right after a significant lunar event. The full moon, also known as the corn moon, occurred on Sunday the 7th of September. So for Monday the 8th, we'll still be under the influence of the full moon, or very nearly so. From Tuesday the 9th through to Sunday the 14th, the moon will be in its waning gibbous phase. Many anglers believe that fishing during a full moon can be challenging due to increased nocturnal feeding, making fish less active during the day. As we move into the waning gibbous, activity might pick up somewhat as the moon's light gradually diminishes, potentially encouraging more daytime feeding. Overall, the general activity of fish in our region for early September is quite promising. This month is often regarded as one of the best times for angling because we get a fantastic overlap of both summer and early winter species. Fish are actively feeding, spurred on by the hint of autumn in the air, knowing they need to put on condition before the colder months arrive. This pre-winter feeding frenzy can make for some truly memorable sessions. All right, my friends, let's talk tactics and target species for this exciting week. Based on the conditions, I've picked out a few key species that should be particularly active and offer some great sport. First up, for our freshwater enthusiasts, let's focus on pike. September is a prime time for these freshwater predators. With the water still relatively warm but starting to cool, pike will be active and aggressively feeding. Where to find them? Look for pike in areas where they can ambush prey. That means weed beds, lily pads, submerged structures, and along drop-offs into deeper water. With the light rain and lower pressure, they might retreat slightly deeper, but will still be on the prowl in marginal areas, especially during brief lulls in the rain. What to use? For pike, spinning with medium to large lures is a classic. Think wobblers, spinnerbaits, or soft plastic swim baits in natural baitfish patterns. Dead baiting with a smelt or a small coarse fish under a float can also be incredibly effective, especially as the water cools slightly. Pay attention to sudden changes in depth. Pike love to sit at the edge of a drop-off, waiting for an easy meal. Next, for those who prefer a more tranquil approach, or if you're targeting coarse fish. Roach and bream are excellent choices. These species will be actively feeding, trying to pack on weight before winter. Where to look? Roach and bream will be found in slower-moving sections of rivers, canals, and lakes. Look for features like lily pad beds, reed margins, and deep holes or depressions in the bottom. The slightly murky water from the rain might encourage them to feed more confidently during the day. What to use? A float fishing setup or a light feeder rod will be your best bet. For bait, you can't go wrong with classic offerings like maggots, casters, or a small piece of sweet corn on the hook. For bream, a nice big worm or a bread punch can be irresistible. Pre-baiting your swim with a bit of ground bait can significantly increase your chances, drawing the fish in and keeping them interested. Now, for our saltwater heroes, let's talk about bass. September is still a fantastic month for bass fishing, especially for those larger specimens. They're still active in coastal waters, often moving closer to shore to feed. Where to find them? Look for bass around rocky outcrops, estuaries, turbulent surf zones, and sandy beaches where baitfish are present. The blustery winds and choppy conditions we expect this week can be a real advantage for bass, as it stirs up food and provides cover for their predatory strikes. Evening sessions, particularly around high tide, can be incredibly productive. What to use? Lure fishing is incredibly effective for bass. Surface lures, shallow diving minnows, or soft plastics rigged on a weighted hook, weedless if you're in snaggy areas, are all excellent choices. Work your lures aggressively to imitate a panicked baitfish. If conditions are very rough, a heavier casting jig or a bait setup with a sand eel or peeler crab could tempt a shy fish. Finally, let's not forget the early arrivals of cod. While larger migratory cod will become more prevalent in northern waters later in autumn, some smaller specimens are already beginning to show up, particularly off northern and eastern coasts. Where to find them? Cod will be found over mixed ground, around reefs, wrecks, and deeper gullies. With the unsettled weather and churned-up seabed, they'll be actively looking for food. What to use? Bottom fishing with bait is your go-to for cod. Lugworm, ragworm, squid, or mackerel strips are all proven baits. A two-hook paternoster rig or a running ledger rig will present your bait effectively on the seabed. Don't be afraid to cast into areas with a bit of current, as cod will often lie in wait for food to be swept past them. All right, my fellow anglers, let's break down this week, day by day, giving you the lowdown on what to expect and how to make the most of it. Monday, the 8th of September. Today, we're kicking off the week under the lingering influence of yesterday's full moon. Expect light rain and cooler temperatures ranging from around 7 to 13 degrees Celsius with high humidity. Atmospheric pressure will be generally low. The fishing today will be fair to moderate. The full moon might make some fish a little less active during daylight, and the low, unsettled pressure won't help. Focus on deeper areas and be patient, trying to tempt fish with slower presentations. Tuesday, the 9th of September. We move into the waning gibbous moon phase today. The weather should see some improvement, with partly cloudy skies and slightly milder temperatures from 7 to 14 degrees Celsius. Humidity will be around 81%. With a slight stabilization in pressure compared to Monday, the fishing should pick up to moderate to good tea. This could be a good day for targeting bass in coastal areas, as well as active pike in fresh water. Wednesday, the 10th of September. Unfortunately, another low-pressure system is on its way, bringing light rain and cooler temperatures again from 8 to 12 degrees Celsius, with very high humidity at around 90%. The fishing will likely be poor to moderate on today. The unstable, dropping pressure and persistent rain will make fish wary. Your best bet is to fish during any brief breaks in the rain, focusing on predatory species that might react to the churned-up water, or deep-dwelling coarse fish. Thursday, the 11th of September. We'll see continued light rain and cool temperatures between 7 and 12 degrees Celsius with high humidity. The low-pressure theme continues, though winds might not be as strong as Wednesday. I'd rate the fishing as poor to moderate. Fish will still be feeling the effects of the unsettled weather. Try to find sheltered spots if you're out, and consider using baits with strong scents to draw in reluctant fish. Friday, the 12th of September. Today might offer a slight reprieve with light rain and mostly cloudy skies, but still cool, between 7 and 11 degrees Celsius. Humidity remains high. Some models suggest this could be the driest day of the week. The fishing could become moderate. If the rain eases for a bit, fish might take advantage and become more active. Focus on active feeding windows, especially around dawn and dusk or during any dry spell. Saturday, the 13th of September. Get ready for a wet one. Heavy rain is forecast for much of the day, with temperatures staying cool between 7 and 11 degrees Celsius and very high humidity at 93%. This will be a challenging day, and I'd put the fishing at Kipor high. The heavy rain and turbulent conditions will likely put most fish off feeding. If you do venture out, look for areas with cover from the rain and wind, or target species that might be less affected by high water, like river pike seeking cover in flooded margins. Sunday, the 14th of September. The week closes with more light rain, cool temperatures from 7 to 11 degrees Celsius, and high humidity. Conditions remain unsettled, but perhaps less intense than Saturday. The fishing will be poor to moderate. The continued low pressure and rainfall mean you'll need patience and precise presentation. Consider targeting deep-water coarse fish or trying to tempt a bass with a well-presented bait if coastal conditions allow. So there you have it, my friends, a detailed look at what the waters hold for us in the United Kingdom this coming week. It's certainly a week that will test our angling skills and patience with plenty of autumnal weather. But remember, every day on the water is a good day, and with these insights you're better equipped to find those fish. I wish you all the very best. Tight lines, and as we say, ni chvosta ni cheshwi, which means neither tail nor scales in Russian, wishing you good luck. If you enjoyed this forecast, please do me a huge favor, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of my future videos. And now the most important part, I want to hear from you. What are your fishing plans for this week? What species are you hoping to target? And what's your go-to tactic when the weather is a bit challenging like this? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Let's build this amazing community together. Happy fishing, everyone. See you.